Hi, this is Melissa from the Sweetery Miami, and welcome to my kitchen. So we're gonna make 3 different things today. We are going to make homemade giant Kit Kats. Who doesn't like Kit Kats? They're just simple wafers covered in chocolate. So we're actually gonna use wafer cookies that, yes, you're gonna pre-buy, and you're gonna buy some chocolate morsels, and we're gonna throw all of that together, and we're gonna make delicious homemade Kit Kat cookies that you can give away as part of this gift. The next one that we're gonna make, my mouth is watering just thinking about it, are moose tracks. Everyone knows what moose tracks are, or at least I hope you do. Moose tracks are caramel popcorn that is drizzled with all different kinds of chocolate, and it either has peanuts or almonds or walnuts added in. You can also add in marshmallows to give it a touch all your own. So I'm going to teach you guys how to properly have the ratio of the popcorn versus the chocolate, so you have a proper moose track, and you can box them up and put them maybe like in little gift bags to add to that basket. And finally, last but not least, my personal favorite, I'm gonna teach you all how to make bonbons. Yes, not the Russell Stovers, not the ones that you go buy the Whitman boxes for $30 to $50 at the local store. No, none of that. This is gonna be your own bonbon that you're gonna be able to box up in a cute little tin and be able to gift for the holidays. It's so much nicer than actually buying something that's pre-bought. Instead, you're giving something that is homemade and it comes directly from you.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a little bit of parchment paper and we're going to line a cookie sheet with it. And I like to use those little clips from the dollar store to hold them tight, so that way the bottom part doesn't shift as I'm pouring out the chocolate or smoothing it out. Then we're going to take our wafers, and these that I chose are actually really good. These are the chocolate filled kind because we're trying to make a giant Kit Kat. Obviously they have chocolate inside too. And then you're going to need a little bit of shortening, probably not that much, maybe just a tablespoon, and an entire 16-ounce bag of the morsels. To heat the chocolate, we're going to simply take our shortening, we're going to add it to our bowl that's filled with the morsels, and we're going to heat it for 15-minute increments until the chocolate gets nice and smooth. Now you'll notice here that I still have chunks in it. That's okay. You don't have to microwave it again. All you need to do is continue to stir, and just the heat of the chocolate itself will melt down the rest of the morsels. If you don't see that they're melting, that's okay. Pop it in for like another 5 to 10 seconds at a time until everything is nice and smooth. Once the chocolate is ready, all we need to do is make sure that it's nice and stirred up, and just pour it right into the prepared cookie sheet that you have ready to go. And make sure you get all of the chocolate in, because we are definitely going to need all of that great rich chocolate. Once you pour it all onto the prepared sheet, it's just a matter of smoothing it out. Now this process is probably the most important one because you want to smooth it out as evenly as possible. Of course, you're not going to get it exactly even. That's okay. But as long as you get it as close to level as possible, that's the most important thing. So when we put the cookies on, they're going to come out nice and evenly with even bottoms. Once you've evened everything out, make sure you tap it down on your surface a little bit, just to make sure that any bubbles that are inside of the chocolate are popping up. You want a nice, smooth, even coating, and this will definitely help. It'll also help to smooth out the chocolate and even things out for you on the bottom. Now it's time to take the wafer cookies and lay them out on the cookie sheet on top of the chocolate. When you do this, you want to press them down slightly, not so much to where they're going to crack. You just want to make sure that you do push them down into the chocolate so the chocolate comes up around the edges slightly. This is going to help the process when you pour the chocolate back over the cookies on the second batch, that it covers them evenly and it creates a seal of chocolate down the bottom. The second chocolate pour is the tricky one. You want to get as much chocolate on each cookie to make sure that it is completely covered. What we are going to do after pouring all of the chocolate back on is you want to smooth it out with a spatula, as you'll see here in just a moment. Once all of the chocolate has been poured on, you're going to want to use just the tip of the spatula to move the chocolate across the wafers and make sure that you smooth out as much of the chocolate as possible. Now the good thing is that it's so smooth that this chocolate is going to settle in between the cracks, which is why we left the space in between the wafer cookies in the first place. But what you're going to want to do is, if you see that there's any empty spots, is push them through with the spatula and then make sure that you tap down the entire cookie sheet to ensure that all of that chocolate is dripping down between each of those wafer cookies. Now it's time to set it aside and let it harden. Now for this next project, it's going to be the bonbons. I've used two different types of chocolate, white and dark, and I've marbleized it. Now I'm going to take my mold and I am going to spray it down with some non-stick cooking spray. Make sure you do that, if not the chocolate will stick to the mold. And then for this one, the filling are going to be maraschino cherries. I love these cherries. They're absolutely delicious. So the first step, it's very simple. All we're going to do is take our chocolate and we're going to pour it into the mold, making sure that you fill it about 3/4 of the way up. Once you have filled the mold completely with as much chocolate as you can muster, you're going to shake it out. You're going to tap it on top of your tray so that way you can even it out as best as possible before putting the cherries in. Once you're ready for the cherries, just drop them right in. Once that's done, it's time to use the rest of the chocolate. I put it in a piping bag here to make it easier. And you're going to fill the rest of the mold up with the chocolate that you had left over from the first part of the project. Once you've put all of the chocolate in and you've topped all of those cherries, you're going to wrap it really hard up against your surface just to make sure that it evens out nicely. And then you can put this inside of the refrigerator to make sure that it hardens to full consistency.
So now we're ready to make our mousse tracks. Now mousse tracks traditionally are made either with regular popcorn, which is what we're gonna use today, or you can make it with caramel corn. If you don't like that sweet and salty combination, then definitely go for full-on sweet, which is the caramel corn. Pre-buy that stuff. There's no need to actually make it. It takes forever, it's really messy, and it's a pain in the butt. Just gonna be honest. So what we're gonna do today is I've already freshly made popcorn in the microwave, and I've let it cool down. Now the one thing that you do have to do, which is painstaking, is to find all of the seeds within the popcorn. Now, of course, I could have done this and just kind of fished out the popcorn from the bag with my hand, but I just dumped it onto the tray, and now I have to do this. So if you don't want to have to take your time picking out all of these seeds from all of your popcorn, then your best bet would be to, just kind of fish it out with your hand so that way the seeds can stay on the bottom of the bag. That would have been the best idea.
So now it's time to perform the drizzle, but before I do that, I'm going to put on some marshmallows. You can do whatever you want to here. You can add nuts, you can add candy, you can add chocolate chip pieces. It is all good. Now once you have that evenly spread out across the pan, it's time to grab your melted chocolate. I always like to start with the dark chocolate first, and I like to make sure that I do a nice even drizzle all over the pan. This is going to help to form those nice chewy clumps of the mousse tracks that is so traditional to this particular type of treat. And you want to make sure that you get every single piece of popcorn with a little drizzle of chocolate. If you have some of the bigger dollops that come off your spoon, not a big deal. That just will form a much larger clump, but it's still absolutely delicious. Using multiple colors too is one of my favorite things. I use them depending on the holiday. So for this one, I'm using some red melted chocolate as well as some green melted chocolate. Now for the colors, I am just sporadically throwing them across the sheet just to kind of get some color on there. I don't want to drench the popcorn because once you serve it, then it's going to be chewy rather than having this crunchy, tasty treat. And once you're done with your drizzles, it's time to let it sit inside of the refrigerator. You can also put it out at room temperature. And as soon as it's completely dry, it's time to bag them up and put them in the basket.
All right, so our gift basket is complete. I've gone ahead and I have packaged up the mousse tracks with our little handmade label and a little red ribbon. I did the same thing with our chocolate wafers. Inside of this box, I have got all of the delicious bonbons that we made earlier. There we go. Look at how cute they came out. Little chocolate squares of yummy goodness with those little sandwich cookies in the inside. I put those in a little individual tin. I've also added in, just to kind of create filler inside of the basket, some of the same little mini marshmallows that we added into the mousse tracks, and I added 3 little packets of Swiss Miss hot chocolate because this stuff is delicious and it's perfect for the holidays. So assembling it, very simple to do. Put the biggest piece in the back, which in this case would be our tin. We've got our mousse tracks up front and center. We've got our little Swiss Miss chocolates all the way in the back, as well as our marshmallows. And then we're going to put those wafers right up here in the front so everybody can see them. So there you have it, the cutest little chocolatey gift basket for your friends and family, made by you, which is the most important part. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by today and watching the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure that you click on subscribe and that little bell icon to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. It's been fun, and I will see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.